All right, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to be here. It's great to see some familiar faces, some people I've known for many, many years, and other people who I haven't met yet. So I'm excited to share with you guys my macro tracking boot camp. And I just want to give you a lay of the land for how this Zoom call is going to go and then what to expect for the week ahead. So I put together a little slide. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get going. There it is. Okay, so macro tracking bootcamp, a 101 course to understand calories and macronutrients so you can finally lose fat. And then I put among other things, because we could also use this type of a plan to put on muscle, body recomposition, which is retaining muscle and losing fat. I think the general population is interested in probably just reducing body fat. But for anyone who's looking to do something else, you can still be here and get something out of this program. I have 4 people in the waiting room that I'm going to go ahead and let in real fast before I move on. Okay. So a little bit about me. For some of you guys who don't know me yet, I'm Rachel. I grew up an athlete. I was in sports as a child. I did gymnastics and springboard diving and cheerleading and all kinds of good stuff. I had a regular job before I became a personal trainer. I was actually in broadcast journalism for about 10 years. And once I resigned from that, I became super interested, even more interested in fitness and health. I actually did a bodybuilding show with one of my friends back in 2014, I think that was. And then as a result of that, decided that I wanted to learn more about what the heck I just did with my body during that about 6-month process. So I got my credentials as a personal trainer and I started doing that full time in about 2016. I became certified in nutrition coaching by Precision Nutrition. It is the largest online nutrition coaching company. It's actually based in Canada, but anyone who's in the fitness space as a profession knows about Precision Nutrition. It's very common. It's a very balanced approach, and I just think it works super well with my philosophy. So I developed macros for muscles. This is not macros for muscles. This is macro tracking bootcamp, but macros for muscles. I developed that last year as my own sort of nutrition course that teaches the best of everything I've learned over the years for myself and then coaching clients. I think my approach to nutrition is specific in that it's science-based. And I don't want people to be fumbling around and not knowing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So macros for muscles is something I developed last year. We had a lot of success with about 20 people that went through the program. Most people that were consistent with staying on their lesson plans and doing the things that I advise them to do. Most people lost between, I think, like 3 to 8 pounds within a 12-week period. So it's a big change for a lot of people that maybe don't have a lot of weight to lose, or it can get you well on your way to achieving, the goals that you have for yourself. So Macros for Muscles is a course that I will be offering in a couple weeks. This is sort of an introduction into that. So Macro Tracking Bootcamp is a cheat sheet, if you will, so that you can do this stuff, like DIY it on your own after you go through this week. I want you to have all the tools in your tool belt to go forth and do this stuff on your own. But I know that there's some people that want their hand held a little bit more. They want the accountability, they want the FaceTime, they want to ask questions along the way. And so for those of you who are wanting a little bit more support with tracking macros or following a macro plan or getting closer to your goals, because we're going to do a lot in 1 week, and the next slide is going to be about what we're going to cover in the next week, but you can only do so much in 1 week, and 10 weeks for that matter. So a full transformation doesn't happen in a 2-month period or a 3-month period or even a 6-month period. Sometimes this takes years. So this is a 1-week course. I'm going to teach you as much as I can in 1 week without being totally overwhelming. But if you want to continue on with me after that, then you are welcome to. All right, let me see if I can. Yes. So here's the course overview. We're first going to understand what calories and macronutrients are. We're going to go over reading food labels today. Tomorrow is going to be the basics of MyFitnessPal. The next day, we're going to talk about how to properly use a food scale, properly, efficiently, quickly. We're going to talk about the nuances of raw meat versus cooked meat when you're tracking, because it does make a difference. We're going to do a full analysis of what you've been eating. So after today, I want you to, if you haven't already started, I want you to start inputting what you're eating and drinking into MyFitnessPal. That way, at the end of the week, we have some solid data to look at. And then I'm going to teach you how to build meals and recipes in MyFitnessPal for those of you who like to cook and you eat the same thing all the time. That's going to be really useful information. And then I'm going to show you how to use precision nutrition and MyFitnessPal to create a custom macro plan that's going to be specific to your goals. So that's going to be a process that we'll go through together on a Zoom call, because I found out last year when we did this, not last, yeah, I guess it was in 2021, there's a lot of questions when it comes to, well, how active should I say that I am, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of nuances. So we're going to go through that together. I'm going to take you through it over a Zoom call, and then you'll have your custom plan that you can move forward with on your own. Or if you want to stay with me, I'll give you all the 411 on that if you choose to continue on into macros for muscles. Okay, so we're going to talk about counting calories next. So a calorie is just a unit of energy assigned to a food. Every food except for water has a calorie. So on the one hand, something that's very light in calories would be like iceberg lettuce. Something that's very calorically dense might be cheese. So everything has calories attached to it. Some of them you probably know. For some of you guys, this might be a totally new concept. As we're sort of like living our lives and eating what we're eating, our body is burning calories all the time just to keep us functioning, from going to the grocery store to doing our workouts to getting our kids ready for bed. Our body's constantly using energy to do all the things, even like breathe and grow our nails and repair scabs and cuts and stuff like that. So how much energy your body needs and is using might be called metabolism, and your metabolism and my metabolism and everyone on this call, all of our metabolism is going to be different. It's going to be based on a number of factors, including your muscle mass, your activity level, how much you're working out, how old you are, whether you're male or female. All these different factors play into metabolism. Whatever our resting metabolic rate is, so say it's 1,400 calories for someone. If you're not doing anything, you're just kind of chilling all day, you still need like 1,400 calories of food just to stay the same. So that would be an energy balance. So we're eating the same amount of energy that we're consuming. That means we're not gaining weight and we're not losing weight, we're staying the same. A caloric deficit would be where you're taking in fewer calories than what your body is using every day. And then a caloric surplus means that you're eating more, you're eating more energy and calories than what your body actually needs to use. And that results in fat stores. It probably results in gaining muscle and fat at the same time if you're working out, but if you're not working out, it's probably just going to be extra fat. I liked this graphic that I found online. counting calories, because we are going to be counting calories here. We're tracking macros, but essentially we're doing a lazy version of it. We're going to be counting calories and keeping track of specifically protein. So we're not going to be in the weeds with all the things, carbohydrates, fat, and protein. It's mostly going to be calories and protein. So I liked what this is, what it is, a great tool to help you reach your weight goals, a technique that can help you better understand nutrition as a whole, a responsible way to track your intake, and an effective way to achieve a caloric deficit or surplus. What is it? Something that should be done forever. I agree with that. An automatically obsessive thing to do. I think it can be obsessive. So that's one of the things that I cover in my longer course, Macros for Muscles, is just how to ebb and flow with this and not be like married to your food scale in your MyFitnessPal app. I don't think we need to live our lives like that. I think that can be very unhealthy. It isn't necessary in order to lose weight because there are other ways of achieving a caloric deficit. I think those other ways, for the most part, can be sort of ambiguous. Like, you know, we all know we should probably eat more vegetables and eat less ice cream, but just randomly feeling like, well, I need to make sure that I eat 3 salads a week, or I need to like eat a little bit less ice cream. Unless we're measuring that and quantifying that, I feel like that can easily be forgotten, or we might feel like we're trying really hard but not seeing results because we're actually like not doing the thing that we think we are because we're not paying close attention. So I don't think it's the only way. Counting calories is not the only way, but to me, it's the most effective way. And it is also not a form of restrictive dieting. I don't think so. One of the reasons why I love doing this program the way that I designed it is because I like to eat sweets. If you guys follow me on Instagram, like, you know, I'm posting about ice cream and cookies and things like that. I've done every diet, but in the past, I've done diets where you restrict, you know, sugar or carbohydrates or processed food or whatever. And that only lasts so long for someone like me who I don't want to give up ice cream forever. Like maybe I could not eat it for a week, but I like the method of you eat some good stuff, mostly, you know, whole, minimally processed, you know, good food, and you sprinkle in some fun stuff too, because who wants to live without, you know, having ice cream? I don't. Okay. Macronutrients. So we talked about calories. Now we're going to talk about macronutrients. Macronutrients are a little bit more specific than a calorie. So calories just like an amount of energy within a food. A carbohydrate then goes a step further and tells you what is actually in that food. So there's 3 main macronutrients, macros for short: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, there's 4 calories per gram of protein, and there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So something that is fat is more calorically dense, and there's obviously more calories per gram than carbohydrates and protein. I think we all know the low fat diets of the 80s and 90s maybe went a little bit too far. I think more recently, carbohydrates have been vilified in a way that maybe was unnecessary. So protein is kind of the only one that's not been a super taboo subject, except for going too high in protein or too low in protein or whatever. I guess we can argue that one to death, but in general, there's 3 main macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. I liked this. Is it called a Venn diagram? I liked this Venn diagram because I think it displays that most foods aren't one or the other. So take, for instance, ice cream. I don't think it's on this chart, but ice cream is going to be a carbohydrate probably and a fat, not a lot of protein in, can everyone mute themselves up? I heard something and I don't know if maybe I missed anybody, but go ahead and mute yourself up if you're not already. So ice cream would be a carb and a fat. It's probably a great mix of both. And a lot of foods are 2 or 3, like a mix of 2 or 3 of the main macronutrients. So on the left, we have bread and fruit. Those are definitely carbohydrates, although some bread does have protein in it. Most fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates, and pretty much like standalone carbohydrates. They're great because they also have fiber. So if you're eating a whole fruit, or whole piece of fruit or vegetable, you're getting great fiber in there as well, which is awesome for your digestion. In the middle of carbs and protein, I think that's like maybe edamame and some nuts. Beans, those are beans. Yes. A lot of people think that beans are protein. They're like, oh, I had a salad with beans on it. I'm like, cool. There's maybe a little bit of protein in beans, but that's not like a complete protein source. And it's certainly not the same as chicken. In the protein circle, we have, it looks like a shark, but probably fish, dairy, chicken, beef. Any animal meat and fish is probably like your best source of protein in terms of overall calories, and then the amount of grams of protein in, say, a 4-ounce portion. In the middle of protein and fat, I'm seeing bacon, eggs, cheese, yes. And then fat sources are things like olive oil, any kind of like cooking oil, nuts, coconut oil. Yeah, there's not a lot of variety in fats. Like avocado is a great fat that I eat all the time. So yeah, what do I have over here? The importance of protein in a fat loss or body, the importance of protein. That's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so in a fat loss or body recomposition diet, the protein makes a difference, especially if you're already working out, because we need protein on a regular basis. We're using it to repair our muscles as we work out. We're using it in just with our metabolism. Like, it's something that we are constantly using and need to replenish. So in our macro breakdown, if you're trying to lose fat, overall calories could and would help you lose weight. But the more protein you include in your diet, the better your results are going to be to build muscle and retain muscle and lose body fat. So we could technically eat 1,500 calories of Oreos every day and say, you need 2,000 calories just to stay the same. So if you cut 500 calories from your daily diet and it's only coming from Oreos, you'll probably lose weight. But A, do you want to eat Oreos all day, every day, and just that? Probably not. And B, are you going to be maintaining your muscle mass while you're losing weight? Probably not. You're going to be losing muscle. You're going to be losing fat also, but it's not going to be as great of a transformation as if you're eating about 30% protein. And we can kind of play with that number a little bit if that's a scary number, and a mix of carbohydrates and fats, and staying within your caloric range. So that's the secret sauce, is having a moderate to high protein approach to an overall calorie range that's going to work for you and your body and your needs and your activity level and all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about food labels. So I'm going to get out of this slideshow real fast and show you some different food labels. We're going to talk about calories. We're going to look at the main macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat. We're going to look at overall ingredients on the food label, serving sizes, and just talk about like my 80-20 approach that I already talked about a little bit, but I'll go over it again. Okay, so I'm going to escape out of this, maybe stop share. Okay, all right, so I don't know how well you can see this, but this is tortillas that I took from my refrigerator. So not every food obviously has a label on it. Like if you buy cauliflower from the grocery store, it might not have a food label. You can easily find that information in MyFitnessPal or Googling it or whatever. But stuff that's processed and packaged, there's a food label. And I'm sure you've all seen it, but I'm going to talk about what I look for on a food label. One of the first things is calories. That's the largest number at the top. One of these tortillas has 140 calories. All right, cool. It's 49 grams. A serving size, right? Like that would be messed up if they were like, oh, a serving size is a half a tortilla. Who eats half a tortilla? So I want you to look at the serving size and make sure that, you know, my kombucha over here might be that might be like 8 ounces in a 16-ounce bottle. Look at serving size. We want to look at the fat that's on top. Why it's on top, I don't know. 3 grams of fat, 1 gram of saturated fat. We're going to look at the carbohydrates next. I skip over sodium because I personally am not concerned with sodium. I cook most of my food. I don't eat a lot of like fast food or restaurant food or whatever. If your doctor has told you to stay under a certain amount of milligrams of sodium per day, then cool, listen to your doctor. But personally, it's not something that I am ever paying attention to. If I feel like I had Chinese food and I need water or whatever, I will. But anyways, I skip over that one. I look at carbohydrates. This particular tortilla has 24 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, not a ton of fiber, has 2 grams of sugar. Okay, that's also not something I pay a ton of attention to, especially something like a tortilla where I feel like it's probably not going to have a lot of sugar in tortilla. And then protein. So 4 grams of protein in this tortilla. So, hey, there's a little trace amount of protein. Overall, with 3 grams of fat, 24 grams of carbohydrates, and 4 grams of protein, is a tortilla a good source of protein, or is it more of a carbohydrate? Thumbs up if you think it's a carbohydrate. Okay, good. That was an easy one. Okay, I have another tortilla just to show you some differences when you're shopping and maybe things to look for. This tortilla looks different, feels a little different. Honestly, it tastes a little different. This one is the whole tortilla is the serving size, thank goodness. It's 120 calories, 3.5 grams of fat. So I think that was, the other one was 3. Okay, so about the same, a little bit more. 12 grams of carbohydrate. So not really sure what they made this one out of, but it's half the amount of carbohydrates than the other tortilla. And all the way down to protein, it's 12 grams of protein. So if we are trying to prioritize getting more protein in our diet and staying within a caloric range that's going to help us promote a caloric deficit in most cases, which of these tortillas do you think is going to help us along our way a little bit more? Option 1 or option 2? Option 2. Now the problem is this doesn't taste as good as option 1, but I'm sure there's other ones out there that do taste as good. It just, in my opinion, I feel like it was kind of expensive and a little bit silly. But anyways, it's called a protein tortilla. Oh, I didn't talk about the food ingredients. I just kind of glossed over that one. But if you're interested in reading ingredients and wanting to be able to pronounce the ingredients that are in your food, then that's awesome. I kind of feel like I'm going to pick the most important things for me, and then whatever the ingredients are, the ingredients are. If there's something in there that you're allergic to, or it makes you have bubble guts or whatever, bloating, and you don't like that particular ingredient, then yes, stay away from it. But it's not something at this point in my life that I feel like is extremely like a deal breaker. Like if there's a hydrogenated whatever, I'm like, whatever, I don't know, it's fine. So the ingredients in this one, I'm sure, are slightly different than this one, but at the end of the day, it's a tortilla, it's a processed food as it is. So the fact that there's ingredients listed on there tells you it's not, you know, a whole minimally processed food. And by the way, something being processed or not processed is not a deal breaker for me either, because everything's processed. like the raw meat that we buy went through a processing situation so that it's not getting moldy and disgusting by the time it gets to the grocery store, the time it gets to our house. So I'm not super like hung up on processed food or not processed food, just FYI. I think it is what it is. One more label. This is the kombucha that I was drinking earlier today. The entire bottle is the serving size. It's 60 calories, 0 grams of fat, 16 grams of carbs, and 0 grams of protein. There is 16 grams of sugar in this. And so for some people, they might be like, oh, that's so much sugar that you're drinking. Like, isn't that bad? I mean, I guess not really. Overall, when I look at what I've had today and I put it into MyFitnessPal, I'm still way under like the amount of sugar that's recommended for my overall diet. So I'm not really tripping on one drink, a kombucha of all things. It's not like it was Hawaiian punch or something like that. It has probiotics that are healthy for you. It's good for your gut, whatever. And an entire bottle with 60 calories. So in general, when we're trying to lose weight, drinking our calories is probably not the best approach, but you know, a little bit here and there is not a big deal. And I'm actually not trying to lose fat, so I don't care. Let me just go back to my slideshow and make sure that I didn't miss anything. And we're almost done. Almost done. What happened to my stuff? Okay. Okay, so I did a poll on WhatsApp a little bit earlier today and just asked like, who is brand new to tracking? And on the WhatsApp group, not everyone that's in this boot camp is on the WhatsApp, but I would say about 1/3 of the people who are on that group responded that yes, they're brand new to tracking. So I hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. I really want this to be helpful and catered to people who are new to this game. I know there's going to be a lot of you guys that did macros for muscles last year, and you're kind of back just to retool and dial in your diet again. So you guys, this is going to be a refresher, and maybe you might learn something that you didn't kind of grab onto the first time around. But for anybody who's brand new to this, I've got you. I want this to be manageable. I want you to learn a ton, but I also am going to be repeating things a lot. I'm going to be giving you all these materials at the end that you can go back to in a PDF. Like you can go back and watch this video, you can watch the next video, et cetera, so that you have this stuff for the future that you can refer to again and again. Let's see. And then this is my final slide, just consistency over everything. We're not going to have a full transformation in a week, not even close. But if you can start getting consistent with tracking and paying attention to these things, we do not have to be perfect. In fact, I don't want you to be perfect, because if we're trying to be perfect, we are going to run ourselves straight into the ground. A perfect diet doesn't exist, first of all. And if we're white knuckling it through this and, you know, forcing ourselves to eat lettuce and we hate lettuce, you're not going to stick with this. So I want you to give yourself some grace, make small changes. You don't have to do everything all at once. In fact, this week, I don't even want you to change how you're eating. I just want you to start tracking what you're eating. So I hope no one is going into this week being like, all right, it's time for my diet, only salads and smoothies. I want you to eat what you're already eating, because doing that is going to give us a clear picture of what's been happening, right or wrong, or somewhere in between, and where we can go from there. So if you're trying to like eat all differently this week because you're trying to pretend like you have it all together, no one has it all together. We all mess up. I ate almost a full pint of Rocky Road ice cream last night because I was stressing out about all the things that I had to get done today. So don't worry about it. No one's checking your stuff. This is just for you to understand what's going on and then make small changes as we go to maybe do a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and start seeing some changes and get so excited that you want to keep on going. So I've been talking for 30 minutes now, which is quite a long time. Chad, I just carried a whole 30-minute newscast on my own. So he was my old boss. And I want to open it up to you guys for any questions that you might have. How I want to do this is there's an option on Zoom to raise your virtual hand. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and raise your hand, and then we'll just go in the order that that they pop up. So anything from the stuff that I just covered to what to expect later on this week. Please, thank you for being my first question, Sam. Okay, so Sam can go. She's going to unmute herself and then ask her question, and then we'll go from there. Hi, Sam.
Hi. Okay, first of all, thank you for saying that about balance as I'm drinking my glass of wine.
I almost had a glass of wine just to like settle my nerves, and I was like, no, I don't want to open a bottle. But okay,
really appreciate that approach. My question is, I always struggle with figuring out how many calories I need. Are we going to be going over that?
Yeah, so that's going to be the last, final step. Is the last day is we're going to go through based on, you know, having an idea of what we're eating on a daily basis. Like, now that you're tracking, are you eating 1,200 calories a day? Are you eating 3,200? Maybe somewhere in between. Maybe it very much depends on the day. Like a Monday looks one way and a Saturday looks totally different. So we're going to start getting a look at all of that. And then on the last day, we're going to go through not my Precision Nutrition's macro and caloric calculator. That's the word I'm looking for. And then we're going to cross-reference that with MyFitnessPal. And in tomorrow's email, there's a video about how to get going with MyFitnessPal. And when you get started with MyFitnessPal, you set up a profile, and there's some like questions that you can answer or some data you can give MyFitnessPal, and they'll generally give you a number of calories to try to hit based on the information that you give them, like your age and your sex and your activity level. If you say you're super active, MyFitnessPal is going to be like, cool, eat all these calories. If you say you're sedentary, it's going to say like fewer calories on a daily basis. So the information you give these apps is going to make a difference. But I think for right now, don't worry too much if MyFitnessPal says you need to be eating 1,600 calories and you're eating 2,600 calories every day. Cool, just track it. Don't get emotional about things. Just be like a science nerd and take it as data and something that we have to work with later, not something that you need to beat yourself up about. And actually, if you're eating a lot, then when we go to kind of chip away at that, then you have somewhere to go. If you're only eating 1,000 calories right now, like, I'm sorry for you. And I'm probably going to ask you to eat more than that and almost like reverse diet before you start cutting back. Because where do you have to go? Unless you're 3 years old, like, we all need to be eating more than like 1,000 to 1,200 calories. So anyways, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, super helpful.
Yes, that's coming. Okay, Katie is next. So Sam's gonna unmute herself, and then Katie, why don't you unmute yourself and have at it.
Hi.
Hi.
So I know we'll talk a little bit more about this as we talk about specifically like the percentages for protein, carbs, fat, and all that. But recently, I kind of wanted your take on this. Recently, I heard that for women specifically, it's important not to have the healthy fats too low because of like hormone levels and stuff for women, that it can be counterproductive. Do you have you heard anything about that? Or like, what's your thought on, because MyFitnessPal and the Precision Nutrition is probably going to tell us different things. Just my experience with MyFitnessPal. So it's hard to sort of find like which balance, like which one to go with and which balance. Like, what do you think about that?
So I do think there can be issues with going too low fat. Like, we need fat for our bodily functions just the same as we need protein. And I guess it's arguable whether we need carbohydrates. I like them for energy and taste. So I'm a fan of carbohydrates. I think my Fitness Pal will default to like 20% protein, 50% carbs, and 30% fat. And I think that's fine. Except for that, I'm going to ask you guys to bump up your protein goals, and that might be a stretch goal. We might like try to get to a certain amount of protein and then a little bit more and then a little bit more and a little bit more if it's way more than what you've been eating. But I think anything less than like 20%, and it's going to depend on the person and how many calories you're eating overall, but I'm not a fan of super low fat diets. And I do think it could be problematic, but I'm not a doctor and I don't know the specific like nuances of this person needs X amount of fat. My split is kind of just depends on the day. And I say that I am like a lazy macro tracker because calories matter, protein matters, where your fats and carbohydrates fall. It might just depend on personal preferences. Like some people love to eat, avocado or cheese or whatever. Other people are like, I don't care about cheese and avocado. I want to eat like all the bread and pasta and whatever. So I think it's just going to be a preference. And what ends up usually happening is I'm about 30% protein, 35% carbs, and about 35% fat. I don't really pay attention to it. It's just, am I within my caloric range? Did I somewhat hit some kind of a protein goal? And then everything else falls wherever it falls. And I don't really care. So did that answer? Good.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Andrea, you are next. So go ahead, Andrea, and then Megan. Hi, Megan. Okay. So Andrea first.
Hey, I was wondering if you want us to track our exercise on MyFitnessPal, or if you want us to just focus on tracking food.
Yeah, so great question. And I briefly mentioned that in the video that you're going to get tomorrow. But for right now, let's just track food. If you want to put your exercise in there just because like it's your type A and you did it and you want to write it down, then go for it. What I don't want to happen is I don't want you to be, I did a workout and I burned 200 calories. Now I get to eat 200 more calories. I think that if you're wearing some sort of like a Fitbit or device or an Apple Watch that tells you, oh, great job on that workout, you burned 200 calories, then we think like, cool, I get to eat 200 more calories. Number one, that projection of what you, Andrea, burned or I burned or someone else burned, it could be off by 20%, 30%. So we go and eat 200 more calories thinking that we're going to be, doing a good thing. And that might take us out of a caloric deficit and right into caloric maintenance by doing that. So I think that tracking it for the sake of tracking that you did a workout is fine. But then like working out so that you can have a piece of cheesecake is problematic. I would just eat the cheesecake regardless. But you don't need to track it right now. And when we do the precision nutrition macro calculator, that's something that's baked into the cake. It's factored into everything. It asks you, what's your lifestyle? Like, are you a server that's walking through the kitchen and all around a restaurant all day long, or a teacher on your feet, or maybe a personal trainer? Or are you like chained to a desk? So what's your daily lifestyle? And then on top of that, how much are you working out? Like how many hours a week are you working out? And that's baked into the cake so that you're not constantly having to, oh, did I work out today or not work out today? So the calories and the macronutrients that precision nutrition will recommend is going to be the same regardless of whether you worked out or not, because over the course of the week, it'll all kind of balance out. I think that's a good question. Cool. Good.
Can I ask a sub question?
Yeah.
Do I need to know how much I weigh for the precision nutrition portion to?
That's a good question. That's a good question. If you have an estimate, like that could be enough. I actually don't know how much I weigh right now. So when I was doing the how to use MyFitnessPal, I just guessed. I'm like, I think I weigh about this much. So ballpark, it would be good to know, but I don't think you need to jump on a scale to do this. I think you know ish what it is. Cool. Megan, I'm ready for you if you're ready.
This is a total logistics question, but I couldn't get onto the WhatsApp group.
Oh, do you have WhatsApp downloaded on your phone?
I do.
Okay.
So maybe we can take this offline so we don't have to bore everyone with it, but.
No, that's okay. So in Instagram, will you just send me your phone number? Because other people might have this issue too. Just send me your phone number. I'll add you in my contacts and then I will manually add you. Someone else told me that their like identity was stolen online, or their profile or Instagram, and they're like permanently not able to get on WhatsApp. So I don't know. Hopefully that didn't happen to you. Send me your number. Okay. Send me your number and I'll manually add you.
Awesome. Thank you.
If anybody, and what's going to be happening on WhatsApp is just going to be a complement to the emails that you'll be receiving and the teachings that I'll be giving you. It's not essential. If you guys have notifications going off on your phone or in your life all the time and you just can't with another thing, I promise I won't be offended. It's just a way for the dialogue to continue when when we're not face to face like this. If you have a question you want to ask there, today I just did like a little poll, like who's first time tracking, just let me know. So it'll be little things like that. But if you're not on it, you're not going to like miss the whole point of this. So I want you to not fear about that. I know some people are sick of their phone, so I totally get it. Okay, so if there are, Lisa said she had trouble joining. After 5 tries, it finally worked. Oh, okay. Well, the 5th time is the charm, maybe. That's so weird. If anybody else is having trouble and you want me to just manually add you, either email me your phone number or send it to me like on Instagram or something like that, and I will take care of it for you. Just make sure you have the app downloaded, because if you don't have the app, then it's not going to work. Okay, you guys, so that I think is it. If anybody else has questions, please speak now or forever hold your peace. No, just kidding. You can keep asking me questions via email, on the WhatsApp, whatever, for the next week or so. No, Claire, that's different. So now you're going to have 2 WhatsApp channels. So she's one of my regular fitness clients. And so we have a fitness WhatsApp channel where we chat. This is going to be different. And it says on it, Macro Tracking Bootcamp. The other one says like Reach Fitness All Access. So this is going to be different. So if you post, just make sure you're posting in the one that you want to be posting on, because it happens to me too. I mean to put something somewhere and it goes somewhere else. So it'll be different. If you guys have any questions, reach out via all the channels. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I really appreciate you being here and taking your time on a Monday night to learn and hang out with me. I'll see you guys later.